Hey, everybody online. Mike, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How are you doing today? We had Chip for a minute, but
Anyway.
yeah.
Can you give this to Jeff?
We'll get started in just a sec, Mike. We might be a little bit limited.
The one that's on the chamber, I can't remember.
Okay,
his
Jeff,
last name.
right, yeah. Jeff Hart.
There's gonna be two colors.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing ecstatically exciting about that. Oh, can I put on there that's citywide? This is for city, yeah. And then,
Is he, how's he good with that?
use
And the other thing about this event is
a-
it's costing us $2,000 to go to
This is costing you $2,000.
in the food.
Hi, how's it going?
Not including time.
Good. Happy New Year.
Well, I think we don't have a,
I like your water bottle.
we don't have a ton of attendance today, but maybe we
A
just
straw
like briefly
and
talk about
like
if
a
anybody else has
board.
anything
Awesome.
they think they wanna throw on here.
That's really what you need. It's like both
Well, I mean,
options.
I don't think it's a bad idea for it to be out in the public, especially if we're talking about being able to try to go all Idaho Springs next year.
That's what I was,
Cause I think next year that would be like a really beneficial thing is for us to all go together.
yeah, 'cause it's hard for me, I've never been to it, so it's hard for me to represent it anymore. But when I saw the request to have this flyer put on your desk to talk to what's about, it's gonna be something.
Yeah, so I added,
Like 2 or 3 more minutes and then we'll get started.
Yeah.
Online people, we're gonna wait like 2 minutes and then we'll get started.
um,
And then what about the Roberts? Put something on there about how to, is there somebody you target or is there different,
I don't know what's happening with that.
I mean, is there anything I can do with this event? Like,
It's a significant, it's a time problem more than anything.
I also don't wanna
Um,
cause these things worse if it's, I shouldn't be talking about.
I don't know, because the project is federalized now, we need to go through their process. So I don't know what that means, like if we have to keep the building, if we're gonna tear it down, if we're gonna do something else. So we're kind of in a gray area on that. But I think one of the things we could do is we're trying to navigate these federal processes.
Texted, so hopefully she can join us in a minute.
That we could use the help of our legislature to help us with these processes to navigate them as quickly as possible.
Is there a legislator you have in mind?
Uh,
Target?
I think, well, probably Dylan Roberts. He's our guy. He kind of knows about this. The other thing, I guess, is the EPA thing, with all that. But there's more about that that's been happening. But I think anything we can do to help us navigate processes faster would be good. And then just continued partnership with CDOT. Also, the other thing is this thing I was telling you about bicyclists through the corridor and things like that. A lot of our things like that are getting impacted by it. Cars are impacted, but that's going to be really impacted, and we need some help identifying ways to make sure people can travel safely.
Well, I love the navigating process because they're all expecting people to ask for money.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going there to say, is there a grant to help us get through this tough time? Is there a process? Is there something?
So-
Yeah.
How do we navigate this?
I think the other thing maybe is like, just to that point, like making sure CDOT keeps providing the information and timely information about these projects in a way that people can use it. Because they're trying, but it's just hard for them to.
A little bit of gossip for you.
Oh, pretty good. I just have 2 meetings at the same time makes it challenging.
Let's get started, guys, and then we can have everybody else join us, but we've got most of our key players here for the most part. And we can keep talking here after, but anyway, thank you all for coming. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you all had good holidays. We just wanted to start convening the group for the new year. We've got, a lot on our plates, and there's some things coming up for summertime that we've got to start planning for. Really specifically what our marketplace space looks like and how it evolves next year. We have some ideas that we want to talk about, including like a farmer's market inclusion and maybe some additional things we could do on the 4th of July. We need to get bands moving on the 4th of July, and we need to start talking about all of that kind of thing. But anyway, I just wanted to start, I think we should just start with kind of a roundtable here like we normally do, and then we can kind of break into conversation about other things if that works. But do you want to kick us off, Sadie?
Sure, so overall, I think what was interesting about last year, retail definitely saw a pretty significant decline to 2022, but when I look at retail from 2019 to 2023, it's still significantly better. So just kind of remembering there was a lot of extra money in the economy last year or the year before, not last year. Still catching up, but it's 2024. So other than that, like obviously things have slowed down pretty significantly with the weather and the freezing coldness happening outside, but it's been good so far. On the chamber end, I'll do all that after. Yeah. I pop all the other stuff after.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, cool. That's all I have to say. Yeah, you.
Well, things kicked in Christmas finally. It was super slow. And then Christmas kicked in, and then last week, I think we were like 10% over last year, except for yesterday, just fell off a cliff. I think he was dead in town yesterday. Like the cameras, we peak part of the day and the parking lot wasn't fully yesterday for some reason. So ski season is not good yet. I don't know if that's affecting it or if it's just an indicator of other things. But in general, it's been good. We're over from last year.
Yeah, I second all of that, I heard all of that, I guess. But Christmas was better this year than last. And I think, I don't know, maybe people were like eager to spend money because they had been kind of restrictive or something, like, oh, I can. But yeah, I had a great wedding season and like that's been picking up for me, which is fun. And it was definitely slow yesterday and today it's been slow, so I came over here in person.
I went away for the holidays, so I wasn't here to see everything, but I did drive home from Arizona yesterday and the highways were totally clear. Usually I anticipate a lot of traffic, a lot of holiday, and it was open the entire time. So that was interesting. I do, with my wholesale business, work with ski areas throughout the Rocky Mountains in 4 different states. And they've also said that skiing and the season's been really slow. There's no snow from the Pacific Northwest all the way down. So a few areas were just starting to get snow, but they've all reported that they had a big uptick through the holiday, but their businesses had been down. They really rely on the visitors, coming in. And so that's just coming to a start. I wonder if yesterday was slow because tomorrow is the first day of school. Back for vacation for here to the Front Range. So I can see everybody just kind of hunkering down and prepping to go back. But real estate supposedly is supposed to pick up again in the year 2024 with housing prices going up. It'll be, those are just forecasts, no true crystal ball.
Thank you. Chip, I know you might have something else going on, but I thought maybe you kick you off on online people. We'll bring him back around.
Yeah.
Ashley, how are you doing today?
No, that's don't it.
Good. How are you guys doing?
How's things at Interstate?
We saw a little bit of an uptick the last couple of weeks. We were down significantly, as everybody knows, the beginning part of the month, but we did see it pick up. We're probably sitting around 40% occupancy right now outside. So not a bad Monday.
Awesome. And then just on parking land, we do have that new council change to put into effect, the paid parking rate structure change, $2.50 for the first 2 hours, $2.50 an hour for the third and fourth hour, and then up to $5. So it's a reduction in the rate, like we talked about. So that will be happening soon. I just got to get with Ashley to get that going. So, Margaret, how are you doing today? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Do you have anything you'd like to share with the group?
Me? I just give me a minute to think, okay?
Sure. Well, if you do, let us know.
I will. Thanks, Jonathan.
All right. Chip, I just saw you pop on. How are you doing today? Oh, you're muted, sorry.
doing 2 meetings, remember?
Oh, he's doing 2 meetings, that's right.
Mm.
Okay. Hey, Bob, how are you? Bob Boland?
Yep. We have 2 Bob meetings? No,
No, just Bob Boland. I don't think he can hear me.
or his microphone's not working.
Yeah, one of the 2. It doesn't look like he can. All right, well, let's keep going. Mike, how are you doing today? I guess we already asked you. Do you have any updates or anything you'd like to share with the group?
Yeah, I think that the news that will be hitting the paper is the board will be launching the search for the permanent superintendent. So my term will be done in June. The goal is to do as much as we can before that transition, and I'll help through that transition as well. So that's kind of the hot topic over here. Our enrollment seems to be kind of stabilizing a little bit, but school finance is going to take a bit of a bite on us, and we may be looking at leaning up a little bit on a couple things.
That's definitely been a complicated series of events, but we've come to like having you around here. So, if you want to stick around in another capacity, we'd love to have you.
Well, we talked about it, and I think there's a lot of things that play into that, and we wasn't really penciling for a small district and a old retired superintendent. So we'll go 100 miles an hour until we get it done, and then we'll set it up for the next one.
That sounds great. Mary Jane, is that you on iPad there?
She's on the phone.
Oh, on the phone.
Yeah. For some reason, my iPad won't cooperate. I just got back from Mexico, so I'm still on south of the border time.
Yeah. How's things for you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Argo just had a killer week the first week in January because of the weather was so good. We had sold out tours. It was crazy. But now it's gone back to previous January conditions. I do think maybe the skiers aren't skiing, they're coming to tour.
Yeah, because they're coming to vacation anyway, so they might as well do something.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to bring up, you guys are all going to be, we've got the ULI TAP call tomorrow.
Yes.
And I hope everyone reads the problem statement that we did back in 2018 and the resulting TAP report, because that's probably going to be their jumping off point for us. And, I wouldn't hesitate to ask for the moon as far as what we want done for the city of Idaho Springs. And I think that can really dovetail into what we're doing with CDOT and the downtown district and all that. So I'm excited that they're excited to do another TAP.
Yeah, just as a little background information about what Mary Jane is talking about, Urban Land Institute is a preeminent land planning organization pretty much in the world. And in 2018, they did a study of parking and kind of mobility in Idaho Springs. And they made some recommendations to us that we should manage our parking resources and that we should be looking to build a parking structure. And now, fast forward several years, we've made kind of like some progress on those recommendations. And we want to look at how we can manage our parking resources and kind of mobility in general through our town with these new resources that we have. So tomorrow, we're going to be meeting with them to see about having what's called a TAP panel, which is what's called a technical advisory panel, where there's experts in like a given field that come and they do what's called a design charrette, essentially, to talk about, things that what are, like maybe generate a problem statement for us about what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish, and some strategies that we might use to make that happen. So we'll probably have some more updates about that once it's available. And we'd love to have as many of you participate as possible as stakeholders in that project once we get it kind of into the next phase here. So stay tuned for updates about that. Judy, how are you today? Happy New Year.
I'm just fine, thank you. Happy New Year to you too.
We're just doing a little bit of a roundtable, and usually everybody just gets a chance to say anything that they might have come to say, or you've got any questions or anything. So I just thought since you walked in right at the time that it was time to change, I thought I'd just ask you.
If I have any ideas? I have one, but you're not gonna like it.
This is like open time if you have anything to say, for sure. So
The property that is zoned in district up there is off of Pine Slope and Soda Creek.
is actually, I think, an historic property. And I think it predates even the buildings that are on the Indian Hot Springs, because the Indian Hot Springs was the gathering spot for the Ute Indians and the Arapaho, I believe. They met there once a year, even though they were warring tribes, and used the rest of that property to camp on while they were having their powwow or whatever they called it. I'd love to see maybe the Bureau of Indian Affairs or whatever come in and buy that and make that historical again. And I think it might be a draw for the city of Idaho Springs to bring in more tourist revenue. But that was my one contribution.
Well, you're probably gonna have more as we're sitting here, because I'll be able to talk, so. We can follow up with you on that idea or that item, and then we'll keep going with this meeting, but if there's anything you want to participate in the meeting, like, you're more than welcome on these other topics too. So.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, Isaac, I saw you jump in there too, right about the same time. How are you doing today?
Hey, yeah, I'm doing all right today. Fighting a little bit of a cold, so excuse me if I kind of sound nasally, but we had a pretty solid week this week. We saw the start of last week, the first couple of days in the new year were really solid. To echo what someone else was saying, it seemed like it kind of tapered off over the last couple of days, but hopefully this week with some of the resorts getting snow, we might see it ramp back up.
Awesome. Well, Chip, I missed you the first time around. I know you've got I just want to see if you're in a place you could jump in now or. Oh, you're muted, Chip. Chip is coming across as muted, right?
Yeah.
Can you not hear us? Can everybody else?
I'm sorry, we had a good Christmas. It was, pretty much to be expected. The numbers were right in line with what we would have expected. Ended up with the month with a nice increase. So yeah, it was all good.
Awesome. Well, good to hear it. Happy New Year.
And as we say over here, ha'oli maki hiki ho.
That's much nicer. Did I catch every organization? I know I've got Casey and Matthew on there too. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to add.
John, can I add one other thing?
Let's let Casey go first, Mary Jane, then I'll jump back to you.
Oh, great. Yeah, I just want to say hello. Happy New Year to everybody. Thanks for having us. I'm super happy to be a part of these meetings now and looking forward to seeing what's in store.
And Matthew, I saw you come off mute there.
Yes, I was just going to reiterate what Casey said. Very excited to be part of this. Thanks for holding him. Look forward to the conversation.
Awesome, thank you. And then Mary Jane, I think the floor is yours.
Yeah, I just wanted a little update on the Clear Creek Center for Arts and Education. We are waiting for our second draft of our lease from the school district so we can move forward on that. We also have the Board of Colorado Creative Industries coming up Thursday to walk through our entire process with us. And that's Thursday at the Majestic Building at 10:30 in the morning. The head of the governor's cabinet will be here. And John, and if you and Andy or Dylan would like to attend, or Chuck, it's an opportunity to give an update on all things Idaho Springs. And if you remember, he's the one that said, and Margaret Hunt is the one that said, we don't have to quote unquote qualify for a creative district. We can just say Idaho Springs is a creative district and we support the arts. So I just wanted to get that on your calendar. Carla will be sending out an invite and we're moving forward.
Great, thank you. All right, well, that kind of like wraps us up on updates. Sadie, do you want to like kind of bring up some of these things we just wanted to touch on with everybody really quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. So the most immediate thing, I guess, is, and this is kind of speaking, and I'll let Steve from Tommyknockers speak a little bit about this as well. This was brought to our attention by Steve, and it's a blue ribbon event, from the Restaurant Association. And this is an event that happens once a year, and this year Tommyknockers is going. I think the goal is that we want to look at it as a city event next year, that several of the Idaho Springs businesses could come, restaurants mainly, and also a few other opportunities there. But this year, Tommyknockers is gonna go, and it is an opportunity for us to interact directly with our legislators. And so Steve has the opportunity to present a Idaho Springs main concern, pitch points, and future risks document directly to our legislators. And this is tomorrow night. What?
Wednesday night.
Oh, Wednesday night, sorry. This is Wednesday night. So Steve put together a little bit of a document, so I'll kind of let him talk a little bit about what's on there. And if anybody has any additions to it, this is not finalized yet, so we can add a few things to it still.
Yeah, just reached out to the Colorado Restaurant Association. And this is more when all the projects that could be disrupting our local businesses was supposed to happen fall 2025. So it's kind of urgent in my mind. And they suggested that I show up at this event to get in front of legislators to see if they had any solutions or ways to navigate the process to maybe get through these disruptions. And obviously, we're talking about the Floyd Hill project, mobility parking structure, Main Street revitalization, possible roundabout exit 240, and some other ones that are peripheral, which is Block 57, the Blue Sky closure, possible Carlson Elementary property project, and maybe even the Argo gondola. So they're actually allow you to put a flyer or a posting on your table, and we're serving food to 300 legislators and their associates. So when they come up, they can read these and ask you questions about or address your concerns. So that is the gist of it. And I've never been to it, so I'll find out about it on Wednesday night and see what it's about. It's not cheap because you got to feed 300 people, but it's a way to get in front of them. And the other businesses that are going are a pretty good hit list of businesses in the Denver area. And we're the only one on the list so far that's in a surrounding community to Denver, which is kind of interesting. So that's the pitch.
Hey, Steve, is there an opportunity to put the EPA, what the EPA is doing to surrounding areas? They've now gone back in time and talking about a 400 square mile Superfund site, which is just causing all sorts of chaos with developers.
Yeah. I would need to get up to speed more on that if I'm going to represent it. I know that in a little pre-meeting here with John and Sadie, they wrote it down on the topic here. And the main thing is to navigate the processes on this. And one of the issues was the EPA topic. And I just don't know very much about it. So I'm sure I can learn pretty quick and represent it.
It's pretty, it's a little complex, but it may be beyond this.
But it
I'm
wouldn't hurt to
not
have it on the
spoken,
list,
but-
John.
Yeah, I agree. I think I can give you some thoughts on it. I know where Mary Jane's going with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that sounds great. So this is a really good opportunity just to bring policy issues. You know, I think there's some things, Sadie and I were just like brainstorming a little bit before, but there's some things like, you know, like when we are impacted by construction, one of the big things that we've been working on at CDOT lately is like how to move people through the Floyd Hill construction, specifically bike riders, because there's no safe avenue through that construction. And there are cross-country riders that like to come through here pretty frequently. So we've been working on some maybe potentially mass transit options to move them through, but that could have an impact on downtown if they pick up here. So that could be a really good thing. Well, depending on how you look at it, a good thing for a market to reach. But I think that there's some, you know, the Mount Blue Sky closure, like one of the other options we might have, we had talked about last year printing like a Jeep duck with a QR code on it that has trails on it, like that you could give out, like we could have a swag thing. So you could have like access to other trails, like the other great trails of Quick Creek County or something like that, besides Mount Blue Sky, or maybe like a trip up 119 or something like that. So maybe there's some things we could do and even work with Gilpin County or, you know, other places to build some alternative, like what should you do here when you can't do the easy thing.
I guess over the topic of this is our community survives on sales tax. This could affect that.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. So I guess what I would say is that, can people contact you if they have ideas to put on the list? Okay, and this is Wednesday night?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Cool. Oh, go ahead.
And I'm just not sure of the format. This is just a trial and error.
Yeah, you've got like elevator pitches to talk to people, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so after that, John and I are starting to really dive into the marketing and activation plan for the 2024 season. We are starting with some pretty awesome early events. With Steve's help, we're looking at doing a national day of service at the beginning part of May. That's May 18th. We're gonna probably do our whitewater cleanup event as well as our city cleanup event on that day. And we're gonna be trying to make that a bigger event this year and attract some traffic to the beginning part of our season, as well as,
National Rotary.
yeah, it's a national Rotary event, so, Garrett wants to come in. So there's that. We have, something for the Main Street, businesses to be aware of, and I know I've spoken to most of you about this in the past, but this will be the first year where we're probably going to be, actively putting a farmer's market on Minor Street. So if anybody has any concerns about that, please reach out to me or John. But we are gonna start moving forward, pursuing having that happening. We're probably looking at maybe twice a month at most, and then maybe once a month, but we're gonna aim, Nicole.
Are you using Minor Street and the brick pathway behind both? Or
Probably
just
gonna-
one?
We're gonna see what we can manage to accomplish. Farmers markets right now traditionally are challenging to start stocking, so we're at the beginning part of the season, so we're hopeful that we can get enough interest, but we're not a proven market. So we might have to start smaller and grow it. So if we can prove consistency, then we can really make that program
I just
bigger.
remember trying it when it moved from the park. They tried it on the backside for a little bit, because then you have the parking lot and then you had like the drive up. So is it planned for Minor Street specifically?
Mhm. Right now, it is planned for Minor Street specifically, with some activation probably on 16th or in the.
We
park.
gotta talk to everybody. It's
Yeah.
pretty high level, but we do need to get this conversation moving so we can get people. But we wanna make sure everybody's comfortable with whatever happens. The alternative is we could have it in CRC Park still. But we need to kind of work through this in the very near future.
Are we looking at adding vendors and talking to vendors, or is there interest already?
There's interest already. We're also looking at a market company, somebody that does markets already. So we're looking at contracting into a market company to have them run it for us so that we're not adding more.
Got it.
We are, starting to look at, a couple of big events that are gonna hit. We're gonna add a new event this year at the summer kickoff event. Tommyknockers has really taken the lead, but they want it to be an encompassing spring event, on June 8th. So we haven't had a name for that yet. What's the name of it?
Well, the German version is a Frühling, that's what means spring.
Furling Fest. Okay, cool. So we're gonna do that around to bring in, of course, John and I's favorite topic, flowers. So flower season is coming our way. John and I are gonna start placing orders for flowers. We will be doing a 10% increase in quantity for business flowers. So if you guys haven't, from a business perspective, participated in the flower purchase program, please let me know if you want to add yourself into that program, because right now I'm just kind of ordering for the people that have participated in the past and counting on about a 10% increase in volume. For those of you that don't know, it's an excellent way to get flowers for your kickoff season. They're at an excellent price. They're really good quality. Obviously, they're the same distributor we use for city flowers. And then Tara to talk to the Garden Club about their flower order and if they want to do one in repeat. Perfect. That's all feelings.
I'm gonna put my order in, like the city order in, hopefully maybe tomorrow. But I think that we still have some time to get the rest of them, because it shouldn't be that much more than.
What we did last year.
Yeah, so I think they're kind of anticipating in general. I just gotta like make it official.
And the city order covers businesses Minor Street to East End.
No, the city order
Oh,
only
that's just-
covers the city, but we order them in tandem with the business flowers just to get them in and make them consistent and all that kind of stuff.
And cheaper on shipping.
Cause then we can just get like 1 or 2 trucks.
What is the cost for each business to order these?
It's $150 for flowers, and if you wanna double your order or more, there's usually like things you can add to it, but the base is $150 for business flowers. And that's a large quantity of flowers that we get for that price. So again, keep that in mind, that's coming your way. We're heavily into already starting to plan 4th of July.
Yeah, the next big step for us, it sounds like we have a stage and sound, and it's been an increase in the cost of that for us this year. Well, last year too, really, it's gonna be like $5,000 for stage and sound, and we've been trying to buy a stage, but it's just not quite worked out yet. So we have a pretty good budget for bands, but what I'd really like to do is make sure that we have a little bit of opportunity for anybody to bring bands that would like to. There's one that's been here in the past called the Delta Sonics that would play again, and they've been relatively well received in the past, but like, I think we have some opportunities to bring this, to the group. But we need to get this, again, this is one that needs to get kind of finalized relatively soon. So what I was thinking is, I know Sadie's got a couple of bands, I've talked to a couple other people about bands in general. We have a relatively good budget. I'm going to be talking to council on the 29th about 4th of July plans. So if, I guess what I would say is if you have an idea for a band that you'd like to see, or you'd like to participate in that process, let Sadie and I know ASAP, and we will maybe have a little task force meeting about this and try to schedule it. Sadie's gonna be out of pocket for a little bit, but we can kind of schedule around that and make it work, but we just gotta get these guys taken care of.
Is it 2 opening bands and 1 main band? What are we looking at?
Up for negotiation.
We
Like, what's our
generally,
time frame? What's the whole thing look like?
we usually start at 11 a.m. and go till dark. It usually ends up being 4 to 5 bands, depending on like if the opener pays for just like a short period of time. But we traditionally have done between 4 and 5 bands. And again,
Yep.
your crowd range size varies throughout the day. We also would like to add this year for the Minor Street businesses and businesses outside of Minor, like we're gonna approach some of the East End and service area businesses. We wanna do this year on 4th of July to have it also be a carnival along Minor Street. And so having the businesses sponsor a carnival something on Minor, whatever that may be.
We have a vendor we can get equipment from.
Yeah, we have a vendor that we can purchase or not purchase, rent carnival games, but you as the business would be responsible for staffing it and kind of making sure it's functioning properly. So just know that that's gonna be coming your way. We'll also be approaching people off Minor if they wanna come down and
I'm
sponsor.
gonna try to like
a
spread out
space.
the activities a little bit and make.
Yeah, make it a full Minor Street feature. Also like a year in advance, but John's gonna also be talking about Christmas lights for next year. We're getting potentially a new Christmas light vendor, and that there might be potentials as businesses if we wanna opt in to add into that. We could talk about that as well as maybe if you have suggestions on additional decorations that you might want to see, really creating that super small town Christmas vibe. Jonah from the Club Hotel wanted me to let everybody know that they are officially on the right track towards opening. They have accepted some reservations for the end part of January, and they're starting to accept full reservations at full capacity, or all their rooms will be open starting in the first part of February. I think Lindsay, but I believe that the CCEDC is hosting an event there in February. Spice and Tea is also gonna host an event there in February at the Annex. So there's a new event space there as well with little half kitchen kind of thing.
Lindsay, do you have anything you wanna?
Yeah,
Hey,
hi
welcome
everybody.
to the meeting, and I just thought I'd bring you in.
So we are hosting an event the evening of Thursday, February 8th, and we're hoping that we'll have as many business participants as possible. The idea behind this event is to
really look at economic development and the future of Clear Creek County and Gilpin County, as far as what the CCDC role is going to be and how, again, we consider economic development moving forward. And so we have 4 speakers. So the state demographer's office is going to be there, talking about behavior trends. And then we'll have an economist from Colorado Mesa University talking about the state of Clear Creek's economy. Then we will have a group of Colorado State students that did some resilience work for Clear Creek, and they have an amazing presentation to present. And then also a group called Better City out of Texas that did resilience work for Gilpin County. And so they're going to be presenting. We want to get as much, high level information to you as possible, and then have you help us by making recommendations based on that information to your elected leadership, who will meet the following morning for a leadership breakfast to really start thinking about the bigger picture moving forward as far as, again, how we look at economic development. So we're really hoping that you are available to attend. We are requiring RSVPs based on space restrictions, although I did go over to the Club Hotel on Friday to look at the room, and it is a really big room. So I think we'll be okay, but just make sure you RSVP to either just give me a call or send me an email.
Sweet, thank you. And I think that's it from my end.
Does anybody have anything they want to talk about or bring up as other issues that we might want to kind of put on the docket, either for now or a future conversation?
Jonathan?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, can I go back and ask just a couple questions or make a statement?
Sure.
Okay, one on the stage issue for 4th of July. Are you considering having the stage on Minor Street, like maybe in the middle instead of on the side? Or it seemed to get very, very congested there.
Yeah, we'll probably have it on 16th. We need to have it in a place that we can fit the trailer. But we could look at options to bring it onto onto Minor Street if that's something you'd like to do, or like another, how we might do that. But this particular event, I think, will be at Citizens Park.
You're saying the 4th of July is on?
Yeah, we'll still have our regular bands during the week in the summertime on Minor Street. But the 4th of July, I mean, we could talk about it, but I think the best place for it would be in Citizens Park still, because of the proximity to where you can see the fireworks and everything. But I'm definitely willing to bring that up for conversation if you'd like to have a talk about it.
Because I feel it gets very congested. I mean, anyhow, that's just one. Are there signs pointing to the restrooms, the public restrooms there? Anywhere on Minor Street?
I think at a time of an event, that'd be a good idea.
Well, no, I mean, on a regular basis, we get asked if people can use restrooms and things like that. So I just wondered if there are any signs pointing to where the restrooms are.
I don't think there really are right now.
Okay, we might want to consider that.
Okay.
And then the last thing, on the farmers market, I feel that we need to make sure that the vendors are not competing with the businesses.
Yep, that was a goal that we set for this when we talked about it last year and with council. We don't want to have any competing businesses operating. So this would be something that we want to have the business community be supportive of. And one of the things we can do is we could have this in CRC Park, or we could have it downtown, but we prefer to have it downtown to keep that walking business going if possible. Right. So as we kind of move forward in this conversation, what we really need to determine is what this looks like. And we need to do it in a relative short order, just because we've got to get commitments from people to come. One of the big ones that we've talked about in the past is a produce company that just would bring they have a co-op farm that they could bring produce and things like that to the marketplace, which would be great. And that would be a non-compete And then if we had other vendors, I think that's our primary concern too, is to make sure that every business on Minor Street agrees that it's something that brings benefit to the downtown and not competition, so.
Right. Well, I was just wondering, like, in May, what'd you say, May 18th starting or something? I mean, produce in the area, I mean, to me, I love going to farmer's market, but it's to get the produce. And I just didn't know like what we think would be available at that point in time, unless it's coming.
So I wasn't talking about the farmer's market starting May 18th. I was talking about the first event of the first programming event of the season is traditionally the cleanup day. And that's the day, May 18th is the National Day of Service. So we haven't set any firm dates about when the farmer's market will start yet. Like I said, we're just moving in the direction of finalizing and making sure that, again, hearing you, Margaret, about the non-competitive businesses, that's definitely something that's been on our radar, and the market company that we're looking at contracting this to is very aware of that. I've mentioned it multiple times, and they're aware of the businesses that are on Minor. So they're trying to look at that as well.
We'll make sure we get that one right for sure.
Well,
And
yeah,
we'll-
I mean, I'm only speaking for the, you know, the shops that, you know, the gift shops and everything, and I don't know what all, but anyhow, thank you. I appreciate you giving me that opportunity.
I'll send a follow-up email to this meeting and just put a little synopsis of that piece of it and make sure people can reach out if they want to be a part of that process or have any other concerns you want to address, so that we have it, you know, documentation of that. And then as Sadie gets something put together that we can actually talk about, we'll bring that to the group for final approval before we do anything. That'll also go to council, and council isn't going to want to approve anything that you guys are not supporting. So I will make sure that we cover those bases so that everybody feels comfortable. If we do it. And that's still a question, like if we do it, then we will all agree, or, you know, we'll have consensus at least. Okay. Does anybody else have questions or comments or?
As we're talking about events, I just want to toss out, since it's January, Oktoberfest again. It was a light conversation last year, and I don't know if we have room or bandwidth or an attraction or interest, but just to put it out there.
You should do the dog over.
Well, I was all on board with Oktoberfest last year. I was thinking we were had FOMO, like we were missing out. But then that weekend, we were at capacity. There was no parking. There was nowhere to get anybody in town. So any efforts would have been kind of wasted to do Oktoberfest. I was like kind of corrected and course adjusted. And we were talking about that. And a contact of ours has been a journeyman tennis. He says for the localish type people, it's actually more popular. There's still 1 million people show up for Furling Fest.
Yeah.
Which is a spring version.
The spring version.
Plus you don't have competition from book events. So
Right. No.
things like that. So it's just a different time. And it's also, you know, early in the season, we need to get business getting moving.
I mean, that's great and a new draw, but Oktoberfest is something for them to hang their head on and remember. And it just is a memory of being in Idaho Springs. So even if we already have the people coming, just something fun that the businesses could do at maybe even a low budget level, since we don't have to invite so many people in. But the Furling Fest, I agree, would be fun, different, and
we also
everybody in
talked
the-
about like doing a Dogtoberfest instead of an Oktoberfest, doing it dog themed, and kind of playing on something a little bit different that would be more low hanging fruit, a little
Yeah.
bit easier to like make it happen.
Well, we used to have the West Munster Dog Show.
Yeah.
Which was huge here.
Yeah.
And like super fun, and everybody came from all over. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I could do is I'm gonna send this email to everyone anyway with ideas for the marketplace. But other event ideas would be great. We want to build on the marketplace and evolve it into like its next iteration. You know, I think we have identified some very specific challenges facing businesses, specifically like, you know, there's less dollars going around for people. We need to make more opportunities for people to come and maybe like fill out some of the times when maybe we're not as busy. So maybe one of the options would be, if you have ideas for events, send them our way. And if you'd like to participate in this calendar, let me know too, because I can start creating a little group that we can start kind of fleshing the bones out on all these things. And then we can bring it back to this group so we have a full event calendar, because I'm going to need to get that in front of city council sooner than later so that we can, you know, move forward.
You.
I was gonna say, it kind of backtracks a little bit to the farmer's market, but, I used to manage a store on 32nd, and that farmer's market is huge, the Highlands Farmers Market. The one thing is that when it was mainly food, like food is what, I'm sure that company knows, food is what people come to a farmer's market for. But then we also, as a business on the street, had an option to do our own activation. And I think we paid for it, but like the coffee shop would have someone on, it's like everyone on the street also could be a vendor at the market, which was great. We would make a good amount of money on Sundays, just right in front of the store. So I don't know if that could be an option for people to buy in or.
The other thing that Highlands Market does really well is art, and we haven't really explored the art world very much.
Yeah, so on the farmer's market, when we do it if we choose to do it on Minor, which right now is the direction we're going, everybody will have the opportunity to activate their like, we're not gonna put anybody in anybody else's activation space. Like that space right in front of your business is for you to be using if you choose to activate it. We will be activating the unused spaces. So the spaces that aren't being activated by a business, that's where the vendors, which is why if we have a lot of people activating Minor, we would need to pull into Idaho Mall or into the Citizens Park area. But traditionally, we have about 70% activation on the market of businesses activating their own space. So that gives us that other percentage to fill with non-competitive vendors.
Alternatives here, so.
Yeah.
We just gotta figure out what everybody wants to do, and then it's kind of like make it happen kind of situation, I think, just so that we can take step one and then next year we can grow or whatever.
What are the proposed dates for the market to run through?
It always runs, well, typically it runs till Halloween.
Yeah,
I mean,
starts
what's
at
the start?
May, let me look at the dates for you. So we're
Memorial
usually,
Day?
no, we're usually a little flexible. We usually try to like go right around Mother's Day. We usually play the opening a little bit more by ear. But I would anticipate they would be looking at opening the market like the 17th and 18th.
And when do you want the farmer's market active at that?
I
point?
would say like in June.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So like June, like a traditional, so June
to like September would be my guess.
maybe around like the June 8th date perhaps, or like
Yeah.
right after.
Yeah, shortly thereafter. Usually like we do a couple weeks of like soft open on the market where it's just kind of let people get up what they need to, get their structures approved through whatever they want to do. And then that kickoff weekend, and we want to do like the parade again. That was fun with the kids and the bikes. That was so fun. Coordinating it better. Each year we grow.
I know.
Each year we grow. You
The
better.
bikers, they blasted off. I was like, but you have the parade.
Yeah, I was like, yay! That was the fastest parade on the face of the planet. But it's fun. So yeah, so we'll try, like, I would probably think like that second week in June, aim for the farmer's market, to aim for that through like September, and then maybe doing like
Labor Day.
like a fun fall something. It would be cool to
There's a little
again.
gap at the end of fall, like we need to program a little better.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is where the Oktoberfest thing could fit.
Well, I like the Dogtoberfest because it's a growth on it. It's not something everybody else is doing. I mean, it's just part of a conversation. I think when we have people coming at certain times of year and they left Breckenridge or they're going here, they remember they went for Oktoberfest, and their memories and photos, they don't remember why or where they were. It's just adding fun and creating a memory to remind them they were in Idaho Springs.
Yeah, so that's definitely on the agenda. Is that, again, as John and I probably talk a lot about, is we're looking at those, spring and fall into winter events are kind of like what we're looking at growing as much as we can. Obviously 4th of July is our staple event, but I don't want to put any more focus on like adding things in the summer.
Yeah.
Because we don't
need it.
We don't need it. And the marketplace is enough of a summer activation in and of itself. And again, keep on your minds that I'll be talking to you Minor Street businesses about music and getting on the music calendar, want to do music, don't want to do music, that kind of stuff. So
Any new ideas? It's a
any
good
new
time.
ideas, yeah. So the calendar, the Minor Street activation has a lot of potential, and the more participation we get, with different ideas, the better it works out for everybody, because again, when that marketplace is full and popping full of people, we're all benefiting from that. Okay, any other questions, suggestions, thoughts? Do we have, does planning have any of these?
Yes, I would like to add something at the moment here. Bob Bowen, just want to say Happy New Year, first of all. I wanted to make sure that Margaret's note about public restroom signs, I think, are really important. It's a year-round service. It indicates a friendly attitude to the city and the businesses for the public. It certainly would be cheap enough. And it seems to me, well, I do know that it's been front and center with Canyon Trading's issue, the chronic issue for a long time, because they are have many inquiries throughout the year. I mean, many inquiries throughout the year, wondering where the restrooms are. So it seems to me it'd be a cheap, long-lasting thing that would be very pro-welcoming to the public. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
I just would add on to that, if I have heard people over and over, I'd say the public restroom signs and then crosswalks, addressing that with just like a basic, even the reflective flags going across, and just getting that going as we have people coming and into the night times.
That's a very big conversation, but
sure.
we can definitely
Yeah.
engage it.
Okay.
Tennyson has those.
Yeah, okay, so, just, Cass, you sent me a text and let me know, fireworks are a go for 4th of July, this year is our last year.
We're getting close, I'm not positive.
This year or soonish, we will be up on our fireworks contract. Right now, we're still under contract with our current fireworks people, so as long as we have a delightful spring, we will have fireworks on 4th of July. And this summer will not be affected by any sort of construction-y anything. Maybe potentially.
Floyd Hill. But
Well, Floyd Hill, but I meant like in minor, it's no. So yeah, nothing will be impeding construction-wise in the downtown district this summer. Okay.
Does anybody else have any other things to talk about?
I just had a question. I just thought of mentioning Floyd Hill.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Oh,
Let's give Chip first, then we'll switch over to Casey.
Okay, this is, yeah, I was just curious how people experienced the construction on Floyd Hill through Christmas. Did it flow pretty well? How was that?
The early project isn't that impactful to traffic passage. There will be a blasting that happens at the end of January that we need to be aware of. There's also a significant accident on Floyd Hill, like last week, where we had traffic backed up for hours to Georgetown. There was a semi that turned over and caught on fire. But next summer, I anticipate much more problems on Floyd Hill. They're getting into more complicated construction because they're gonna be down by Two Brothers. And so it's much narrower and there's gonna be much more navigation that needs to happen, I guess, like in terms of making sure people know what's happening and everything. So we need to just keep thinking about this and talking about it and making sure everybody's on the same page about how to handle it. They give updates. If you haven't gotten updates, you can get them on cotrip.org.
Or that text group.
Yeah, so you can get like, they'll tell you like when they're blasting and stuff, which is really good. And then if you have any questions about the project, you can talk to me or Amy Saxton from the county. We're the representatives from our area, so we can help if you have an issue you need to raise or anything like that. But I don't think we're gonna see any really significant impacts till like June, probably at the earliest.
And then Casey, I think first, then Isaac.
All right, Casey.
yeah, hello, thank you. I just have a couple of questions regarding parking. Couple things I was wondering is if I had heard that we were potentially going to lower the hourly rate, and I was wondering if that was still happening and what the timeline was for that.
That is happening. It'll be happening in the next few weeks. So it's gonna be $5 for 2 hours, $2.50 an hour for the third hour, $2.50 an hour for the fourth hour, and then $5 an hour after that. So it's a reduction in overall cost for a 4-hour stay, which is done now. So that's kind of how the structure will be moving forward.
Okay, that's definitely an improvement. I appreciate that. And then also regarding parking, I feel like maybe someone else can chime in too. Like I feel like we could maybe have a little bit better signage for. I feel like I don't know, for lack of a better term, like the stand-up signs that kind of wobble back and forth, they fall over from time to time, and I'm not sure everybody is aware that the parking is paid. So it might be something to consider to improve some signage to let people know that we are, it is a paid parking lot. We definitely have had, several customers bring it to our attention that they did not know. So just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you. We have over 400 paid parking signs in a 3-block radius, but we are working on a new signage plan that we're going to adopt that changes the colors a little bit and some of the locations of the sign. So we will bring that forward in the near future. We've kind of Ashley Grooms from Interstate has been working on the new design, and I think we're relatively close to implementation on that. But we have common goal there to make it as easy as possible to know that paid parking is happening.
Great, thank you, appreciate that. And then regards to the parking garage, I know it's down the road, but I was wondering what the plan was for a pay structure with that, or is that going to be free parking when that parking garage is completed?
It's going to be paid.
Okay, it's similar structure, or do we have that kind of in stone yet or figured out?
It's not in stone yet. I think we set our fees to do what we need them to do, like in terms of operations and maintenance and capital outlay and things like that. So it may be possible that down the road, those numbers are different, but I think we got to get to the point where we have the structure in place so we can model what we're doing right at that time. But I wouldn't anticipate the prices going up. It would be either what they are now or maybe inflationary increase in like 10 years or something. But right now our funding source is sufficient for taking care of the parking that we need to take care of. So I think it's likely to be somewhat similar.
Okay. And then in regards to the event calendar, I think you're going to send that out in an email. I'd just like to take a look at that. And a second part to that is, do we have any events scheduled, or does anyone have any ideas to bring more people in, and specifically April, May, and November in the shoulder seasons? I feel like, our marquee 4th of July is awesome, and all these other great ideas that everyone is bringing to the table. I just didn't hear anything about those months specifically, and just wondering if we could kind of put our heads together to figure out how to get people during the shoulder season where we all are hurting the most, I feel.
Yeah, this is Lindsay. Oh, sorry, John. This is Lindsay with Clear Creek EDC. I just wanted to also mention regarding events during the shoulder seasons. The CSU students did look into this and look at some ideas and whatnot, and they will be presenting some of those ideas during this event on February 8th. So I put in the chat the event details. So again, it's February 8th, 5:30 to 8 p.m. at the Club Hotel. And please RSVP to president@clearcreekedc.org. And invite anyone else that you think might be interested. But we're definitely going to, have some thoughts on shoulder season events. That's not to say, we have to do these. And obviously it takes a lot of work to put on events. But the CSU kids did make some recommendations on that. Just wanted to pipe in there. Sorry.
Thanks, Lindsay. No, that's great. But I'm excited to hear what they come across. I'm not going to be there, but I'll get the report from you. So Casey, yes, like that's John and I's constant thing, is trying to add things into those shoulder season events. So we're always open to like any kind of ideas or suggestions, and participation is awesome and help. The events calendar is traditionally not finalized until April. So that's why we're having this conversation now, so that we can make sure it's inclusive of everybody's events. So once it's finalized and I have like confidence that everybody's event is on it, it will go via email out in about April. And that event calendar runs from like the end part of May to Halloween. But of course, if there's anything that happens before then or any of that, I will jump it out on the email. Another thing also to just reinforce for everybody is that Mount Blue Sky will close in its entirety Labor Day 2024. And then it will not reopen until Memorial Day of 2026. So that's what we will be, that's another kind of impact to our tourism dollars. And then like John said, we want to be starting to talk about, and nice thing is we have a little bit of time on this, but we want to talk about some way to market to those people that come here specifically to go up Mount Blue Sky and how to give them, hey, like here's other things to do, other cool trails or hikes or whatever in Clear Creek County or right here to capture them. And so they don't leave and go somewhere else when they're disappointed that Mount Blue Sky is closed. So keeping your eyes on that.
I have a question on that, just so I understand the timeline correctly. So that'll be shut for all of 2025, correct? And
Correct.
the early part of 2026. And is that also the same time that we're slotted to do the parking garage construction and the Minor Street shutdown? Or do I have that wrong?
Well, hold on. We're not necessarily doing a Minor Street shutdown and parking garage at the same time. Those projects are phased, and it really is like part of this whole bigger conversation. We've got to get all of the context we need for those. Right now, we've just kind of finalized our grant agreement with the federal government to get underway on engineering and design. So our plan is to apply for the last piece of grant funding we need next August. So that would mean that we're looking about like late summer, probably after tourism season-ish, kind of start of construction on the parking structure. And the way that they build those now, I think we can probably get it built before traffic picks up again, as long as they are able to move quickly enough and it's there's no complications, which, famous last words. But the downtown Minor Street project will definitely, that may or may not happen still. It depends on our funding sources and how that goes. So I don't think you should anticipate all of that happening at one time. The Mount Blue Sky closure, I think we can kind of look at that contextually, but that's like, it's up the highway a ways and it doesn't really impact traffic too much. It's just more like visitation, I think, a little bit. So we'll keep this conversation going and make sure everybody's aware of like where we're at and how we can phase these projects and make sure that they're, because we're gonna have some pretty significant impacts that we need to talk about, just making sure we lessen them on everybody as much as possible. And there may be times certain people are more impacted than other times. So we're gonna work on that with the community once everything is green lighted, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And we have some control over how we phase it.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions or anything for the good of the order here? Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us. I will send out that email that'll have invites to participate on planning on the marketplace and stuff about everything we talked about today. So look for that from me and we will see you at the next one.
Thank you.